I was just getting ready to move Tawny into another enclosure in the bathroom. We're almost done with the snake room. But I want to talk about a topic a lot of snake keepers are bringing up and putting on YouTube. That's about keeping snakes in rack systems versus in the solitary independent enclosures. I've always kept my snakes each in their own enclosure because my snakes, I take them out all spring and summer for physical activities, and everybody that's seen my snakes are amazed that they're not fat. They're muscular. This is because they have a lot of exercise. And I just got my first 7 tray rack system, and I haven't even had the heart to put my young snakes in it, but that's what I got it for, because I think with baby snakes and young juveniles, they do feel more vulnerable and they feel more threatened. So I think a rack system where they really can't see a lot of activities around them is a great idea for young snakes. But when you have snakes this size that love exercise, well, hi, Tawny. How are you, pretty girl? This is a corn snake. This is pure muscle. That's from being an active snake. That's not a snake that lays around, gets fat and lazy. Hi, sweetie. What you doing? Give me kisses. All right. What you doing? But it's a really controversial topic, and it always has been from day one. I personally don't think it matters what kind or style of enclosure you keep your snakes in, as long as you provide all their needs and you give them a clean, healthy environment to live in. And I also feel that they are entitled to be out of that enclosure occasionally, to have the right to exercise and to express themselves freely. Because these are thinking, curious, active animals. And I found that a lot of snakes that never come out of their enclosures, or that hardly ever do, especially in rack systems where they seldom get handled, are normally fat, lazy snakes. They very seldom move around. And when they do, they don't really have a lot of space to move around in. This is pure muscle. This is a corn snake. And a wiggle worm, huh? Aren't you, Tawny? But it's a personal choice. No one knows your snakes on a personal level any better than you do. That's the thing that's always got me about people with snakes is there's so many people that attack us and try to tell us how to do things different. No one knows your snakes on a personal level like you do. Someone sitting on the other end of a keyboard or cell phone texting to you knows nothing about your snakes. Only by watching videos or by what you say about them. A one-on-one basis is the only way to know these animals, and nobody does that except the person that cares for them and works with them all the time. Will you quit wiggling around? You're such a wiggle worm. But it's a personal choice. I've always felt that way. Like I said, I just got my first tray rack system, and I haven't even had the heart to put my babies in it, with my young juveniles, because it bothers me that they can't see out of it, and my snakes are used to seeing everything going on around them. If they're never exposed to other living things, how do you expect them to ever learn to trust other living things? They can't do that always laying in a rack system. Oh, you broke a scale. How'd you do that, Missy Chris? Huh? How'd you break a scale? But myself personally, anything above a juvenile age will never be in a rack system because they need exercise. They need mental stimulation. What kind of mental stimulation does a snake get sitting in a tray in a rack, going around in circles for exercise? They can't see anything outside of that tub. And I think a great solution to that, like I've seen some other videos, is to give them a way to see what's going on around them. They don't have to live an isolated life. Snakes don't live like that out in the wild. Why would you expect them to in a captive environment? You are a wiggle worm, Tawny. This girl has produced 142 eggs for me, and I would say about 110 of those were viable eggs. and she made some beautiful babies, but she's looking for a male right now, and she's not going to breed anymore because her last clutch really took a lot out of her. It took her 17 hours to lay 64 eggs, so we're not breeding Tawny anymore. I feel that when it becomes a threat to their life and the longevity of their life, it's wrong to keep doing that with them. I think there is an age where you should consider retiring your snakes from breeding, because it does take an awful lot out of a female to lay a clutch of eggs. The one before her last one was a rough clutch. It took her a really long time. So when that happens, there's something going on that you have to question as a snake keeper. Is it worth the risk to the snake to keep breeding them if they're having long periods that lay, when they're laying their eggs? You're making it hard for me to talk because you won't stay still very long. Yes, you are. You're making it hard for me to talk because you're a wiggle worm. But I personally, back to the topic of rack systems versus enclosures, it's up to you. I love you too. It's your responsibility to give these animals a clean, healthy environment and a good quality of life. If you're going to take them out and do it outside the enclosure, why shouldn't they be in an enclosure that also enhances that? That gives them a way to look around, a way to see things moving around them, a way to be exposed to other living things. Your tail is as heavy as your... Good grief, girl. You just whop me with your tail. I picked the wrong snake to do a discussion because she won't sit still for long. I love you. And no, you're not breeding with Flash this year. No, you're not. You're a retired Missy. But it's something I think we've all thought about over the years. I've seen people bashing breeders for keeping snakes in tubs and racks. I think that's wrong, because when you got like 50 plus snakes, they're healthier and better maintained in a constant climate controlled environment where the whole rack is the same temperature, the room's the same temperature. Now you take each individual enclosure like I have for all of mine, you're talking a lot of electricity bills when you start breaking them down and putting them in individual enclosures. And as for keeping them clean, it is a lot more time consuming than cleaning a tub and a rack system is. So there are many pros and cons on it, but all in all, my biggest thing with it is what's best for the snake. So many people put together these gorgeous enclosures and they put all these beautiful expensive things in it. Your snakes really don't care what's in there, as long as they have their heat, they have a cool area, they have water. Like mine, they have a fit. They excrete waste in their enclosure, so they do have a sense of pride, actually. But I think it's important, no matter what you put them in, that they're exposed to other living things. They have that opportunity. You're keeping them a prisoner if they never come out. Taking the snake out of one tray and putting it in a tray in another rack is not my idea of taking your snake out and giving it quality time. That's where I think the line needs to be drawn with breeders. My house rule is if one of my snakes comes out for me to clean its enclosure, I invest quality time with it, like I am Tawny, because she's moving into another enclosure. But I've made a point of doing it from day one. If they come out, they get quality time with me, so they realize I care about them. They realize, hey, there's a world outside this enclosure. It's pretty cool. I'm going to enjoy looking around, checking everything out. These are things you need to... It's about the snakes. It's not about what looks good to you or what you like. It's what works best for them. You are a wiggle worm, Missy. Well, you need to slow down some. Yes, you do. And she's a big girl. She's a huge corn snake. She eats 3 red fuzzies twice a month. That's it. Nothing more. She's not fat. And as Brian Cusco would tell you, he was here and he saw my snakes. To look at them, they look fat. They're not fat. They're all pure muscle. And that's because they're out of their enclosures. They have activities. They have the opportunity to express themselves freely. And you know what? They have the chance to enhance their thinking process. If you were in a room with four walls, nothing was hanging on the walls, there were no sounds around you, how much would your brain really further develop if you're never exposed to anything more than those four walls and peace and quiet? There's nothing left to learn if you're never exposed to something other than what you're in. That's my big thing with totes, not totes, sorry, tubs and racks, is they're not exposed to the things around them that snakes are used to out in the wild, you know. People need to consider a snake is still a snake, whether it's living in a captive environment or a wild environment. They still have the same instincts. Why do you have to divide that up? Make them live one kind of life instead of letting them live like they would as a snake in the wild, minus the predators, naturally. I've said that from day one. Why treat them any different in a captive environment than the lifestyle they're used to living out in the wild? I just never understood why people do that, but they do. But this is Tawny, my big girl. I just want to talk about this topic. There's so many different angles. There's going to be a live discussion. Brian Barczyk and Kevin McCurley's going to be in it on YouTube, and I'm really looking forward to it. And the topic is, how can rec systems be improved to give the snakes a better quality of life? All reptiles, actually. And I think it should be done. It really should. These animals shouldn't be locked away in a rack or a tub like a prisoner. That's what I think of when I see them like that. At least when you take them out, handle them a little while. Don't just take them out and stick them back in. Don't move them from one side to another or in a different rack system. That swapping snakes back and forth is not considered physical activities. And it's not considered mental enhancement. So people really, you know, it's about them. It's not about you. Because when you love them, you do the best you can and give them the best you can, huh? I love you, Tawny. Well, I'm going to stop this video. I just want to talk a little bit about that. And yes, I've got a sinus issue today. It's been raining all day today. But I just want to do a video on it. Talk about it a little bit. That's just me. I've raised snakes for 58, almost 59 years. And my snakes are out all the time. I give them time. To me, their enclosure is a place of rest and peace. It's a place to give them time to themselves. It's not where they live. It's where they go to relax, to rest, to eat, to digest food. It's a safe place for them. This is a different life for them outside that enclosure. It's a happy, content, social life. You almost fell there, Missy. These guys aren't the greatest at holding on to things, by the way. As long as you are, you would think you would be better at it than you are. Yeah, you would. But, you know, I just... My snake enclosures aren't their homes. It's their safe place. It's their quiet, resting place. It's a place they can rely on for security. They like to come out. They focus on me when they're out because they know they can be safe with me. So there are a lot of different issues to consider when you're raising snakes. The first one is you got to learn to think like a snake if you want to be successful at it. And you really do. You have to learn to think like they do. See things from their point of view instead of your own point of view. Because this isn't about you, it's about them. I see a little nose rub. You've been looking for Flash, huh? We're not making babies, dear. Nope, you're retired. I'll let you go. I just want to make a video on that topic. I gotta go move her into the other enclosure. She needs a bigger one. She's in a 34. I'm gonna move her up a size. So it's something to think about. Like I said, nobody can tell you how to keep your snakes. The important thing is give them a good quality of life. Give them a clean environment to live in. Handle them. Spend some time with them. Expose them to other living things. They don't know that stuff exists if you aren't the one that shows them that it does. She's big. She's really big. I can't get over how big Tawny is. She's 10 years old now. You gonna go potty in there? Well, that was nice of you. You wait till I put you in the tote. And this is what I used to transfer all my snakes. I put them in plastic totes, take them outdoors. They get in the tote when they're ready to come back in. They identify with this. This means I'm coming out of that enclosure. I'm going to have some exercise. I'm going to have some quality time with the people and other things around me. This tote means I'm getting some freedom out of that enclosure. And most of my snakes will beg to come out of their enclosures. I don't force them out. I let them come out to me. They come out, they get in the plastic tote because they identify with the plastic tote. Snakes aren't stupid animals. They get in the plastic tote. I sit with them in the house and handle them for a few minutes. And then I close up the tote, take them outside, sit down, take the top off. They come out on their own. I don't force them out. It's got to be their choice to a certain extent. It's not always about what you want for them. You have to intervene for safety reasons naturally, but give them some freedom to be a snake. I guess that's the best way I can sum it up. Let them live like a snake. Quit sheltering them. Quit locking them up. Quit treating them like they're some kind of communicable disease, because they're not. These are living, thinking animals. Give them a better life if you can. If you can't, find someone that will, please. I've taken in rescues, and it's pathetic, and it's heartbreaking to see the way some people treat their snakes. Did you finally quit? Did you calm down some? So, oh, bummer, she took me out and didn't put me in with my boyfriend Flash. No, we're not doing Flash. And you got that tail tip straight up in the air, so I know what you want. Okay, I've talked enough. I'll let you guys go.